Galactic Empire killed the human girl in battle. Hours later, she returned. The sky over Vera, 9 burned crimson. Orbital strikes screamed through the clouds, vaporizing forests and glassing entire ridgelines. The planet's last bastion, a trench-ridden canyon carved by the Resistance, was crumbling under the Galactic Empire's siege. Dirt rained from above with each distant blast. Amid the chaos, Sergeant Kaela Rho kept her eyes on the horizon, her grip firm on the barrel of her pulse rifle. "Eyes up," she barked. "If we fall here, the whole sector goes dark." Her squad, young, battered, and outnumbered, answered with nods. The electromagnetic buzz of enemy armor grew louder. Kaela wiped soot from her visor and stood tall above the trench line, defiant in the face of inevitable death. She'd been fighting since the first wave landed. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Multiple walkers incoming, southeast, Private Thomas shouted, pointing toward the ridgeline. Indeed, dark silhouettes emerged. Imperial Titans, gleaming and cruel, with blood-red insignias carved into their armor. Kaela spat in the mud. "Time to earn your flags." She sprinted forward, tossing her last anti-armor charge to Toma. "Plant this under the lead mech when I give the signal. We don't need to win. We just need to hurt them." As the walkers drew near, Kaela climbed the shattered husk of a transport tank and raised her rifle. She knew it wouldn't do much, but fire was defiance, and defiance was survival. The first round of return fire came fast. A plasma lance carved a molten line through the battlefield, searing away cover. Kaela ducked, rolled, and came up firing. Her squad followed suit, turning chaos into controlled resistance. For a moment, the trench roared with life. Human fighters surged forward, driven by desperation and the iron will of their leader. Explosions punctuated the sky. One of the walkers stumbled, Toma's charge detonating perfectly. But Kaela had seen too many battles to mistake pain for progress. She turned, just in time to hear it. A rising hum. Higher pitch. Orbital class. Her blood ran cold. Above, a pinpoint of blue light marked her death. An orbital lance, Empire tech meant to obliterate fortified targets, was falling straight toward their coordinates. "No," she shouted, spinning to warn the others. But it was too late. The blast hit like a god's hammer. Sound vanished. Light consumed everything. Then silence. When Kaela opened her eyes, she was standing in a field of ash. The trench, the squad, the walkers, all gone. Her armor was cracked. Blood seeped from her mouth. She tried to move, but her legs gave out. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear Imperial comms broadcasting victory. Enemy resistance neutralized. The rebel girl is dead. Vera, 9 is ours. The rebel girl is dead. She smiled weakly. "Not yet," she whispered. Then the world faded. Hours passed. Night fell. Empire recovery teams scanned the ruins. They confirmed her body. A field officer chuckled, recording a message for propaganda feeds. "The once feared Kaela Rho is nothing but ash. Let the outer colonies remember this day, the day human arrogance died." They left her there, broken and cold. But beneath the ruins, buried in centuries-old tech, something ancient stirred. Deep in the bedrock, a chamber flickered to life, its machinery humming with purpose. Project Phoenix. Activation sequence initiated. Subject, Rho Kaela. Status, terminated. Reconstitution protocol, engaged. Nanites surged through her bloodstream. Muscles rewove. Fractured bones reknitted. Neurons fired like stars reborn. In darkness, Kaela drew breath. Not quite alive. Not quite human, but far from dead. The Rebirth protocol. Kaela's first breath was a scream. Her body jerked upright in a metal pod, gasping like a drowning survivor breaching the surface. Cool synthetic fluid drained from the chamber, leaving her shivering on the floor, naked and blinking against sterile white lights. Pain flared through her nerves, sharp, alien pain. It wasn't the pain of wounds, but of rewiring. Subject Rho Kaela. Neural coherence, stable. Motor control, stabilizing. Vital signs, optimal. The voice was mechanical, calm, genderless. It echoed through the subterranean vault like a god reading diagnostics. She coughed, wiped fluid from her eyes, and looked around. The chamber was vast and ancient, carved into the planet's crust. Steel walls bristled with cables and flickering monitors. Cryopods lined the sides, all empty. All except hers. A single emblem glowed above the far console, a phoenix engulfed in flame. Her heart skipped. Project Phoenix. Kaela had heard whispers during training, rumors of an experimental fallback system buried on key colonies. A resurrection protocol for high-value combatants. The Republic's last hand in the face of extinction. She'd never believed it was real. But here she was. "What happened?" she croaked. "You died. Orbital lance impact. Fatality confirmed. Protocol initiated. Subject Rho reconstituted via nanoforged substrate. Estimated functional duration, 12 hours before systemic collapse." Kaela blinked. 12 hours, then I die again? Correct. Structural decay will exceed containment thresholds. Consciousness will fail. She gritted her teeth. "Can't you fix it? Stabilize me?" Negative. Rebirth protocol is a one-time tactical contingency, not intended for long-term survival. Kaela stood, shakily. Her reflection in a nearby console monitor caught her off guard. Her body looked the same, scarred, lean, tough, but something had changed. Her eyes glowed faintly, veins traced with pale silver under the skin. She clenched her fists and felt unnatural strength coil beneath the surface. Enhanced. Rebuilt. Not human in the strictest sense, but close enough. A soft hiss sounded. A compartment in the wall slid open, revealing a suit of matte black armor and a custom pulse rifle. Hers, but upgraded. Tactical gear recovered from battlefield. Enhanced and restored. She suited up in silence. Each piece of armor clicked into place with the smooth familiarity of muscle memory. The rifle felt like an extension of her arm. Priority directive. Return to human command. Upload combat memory and tactical data. Denied, she said, sliding a fresh power cell into the rifle. I have other plans. Warning, deviation from protocol will reduce survival probability. I know what I'm doing. She looked up at the vault ceiling. Somewhere above, the Empire believed her dead. They were already celebrating, broadcasting her execution across the stars to demoralize the colonies. She imagined their smug officers drinking to victory. Let them. For now. She flexed her fingers. The interface in her HUD flared to life, tracking Imperial troop movements, atmospheric conditions, power readings. Her new systems, part human instinct, part machine, processed it all in milliseconds. There was still time, not to win the war, maybe, but to carve a scar into the Empire they wouldn't forget. I'm going back up, she said, and they'll wish I stayed dead. Authorization override accepted. Reprogramming mission parameters. Kaela marched toward the exit tunnel, pulse rifle humming at her side. The lights behind her dimmed one by one as she left the resurrection vault, sealing the path behind her. She emerged from the underground an hour later, miles from the crater battlefield where her old life had ended. The air was cold. The sky still glowed with the faint traces of orbital fire. Imperial ships hovered in the distance, patrolling, unaware. A dropship flew low overhead. She crouched, scanned its flight path, and grinned. They didn't know she was alive. Not yet, but soon. Soon they would. Ghost in the trenches. Kaela moved like a phantom through the ruins of Vera 9. Empire patrols swept the shattered cities by the hour, but none of them saw her coming. She stayed in the shadows, used collapsed tunnels and scorched craters to move unnoticed. Her body, faster, sharper, rebuilt, responded with perfect precision. Her new reflexes were faster than thought. Her footsteps made no sound. The Imperials called this zone pacified. It wasn't. Not anymore. She struck first at a comms relay near the old mining outpost. 3 soldiers, elite Dominion enforcers, guarded the tower. Kaela counted their heartbeats before she attacked. The first went down with a knife across the throat. The second turned, confused, only for her pulse blade to pierce his visor. The third tried to run. She didn't let him. Within seconds, it was over. Kaela climbed the tower and rerouted its beacon. Her face, alive, scarred, and very much not dead, flashed on every Imperial screen in the region. "You thought I was gone," she said. "You were wrong." She cut the feed. Let the fear spread. By dawn, whispers moved through the Empire's local ranks. They called her a clone, a hoax, a trick of the Resistance. But some soldiers remembered the battlefield, the crater, the site of her burning. They remembered the stories of Project Phoenix, and for the first time since landing on Vera 9, they doubted their own supremacy. In the southern quarter, Kaela hit a convoy, 6 tanks, 2 walkers, and a prisoner carrier. She emerged from the sandstorm like an angry spirit. Mines planted in seconds. EMP darts. Close-range detonations. Within moments, fire and twisted steel littered the dunes. The prisoners inside were stunned when she tore open the hatch. "Can you still fight?" she asked, voice modulated through her helmet. One of them, an older sergeant with blood on his chin, nodded slowly. "You're her. Kaela Rho." "I was," she said. "Now I'm what's left. Get moving. Rally at grid point 3. We take back what we can." Word spread faster than orders. By midday, Kaela had become a myth. They started calling her the Reaper of Vera. Imperial squads hesitated before patrols. Forward command centers doubled their security. Even Orbital Command began to pay attention, dispatching elite hunter drones to track her down. It didn't help. Kaela was never in the same place twice. She jammed sensors, slipped between surveillance nets. She didn't just fight. She unraveled the Empire's grip piece by piece. In one ruined city block, she climbed to a collapsed tower and hijacked a Dominion data uplink. What she found made her pause. There are still hundreds of human survivors, fighters, civilians, medics, trapped across Vera 9. The Empire hadn't exterminated them. Not yet. She clenched her jaw. Saving them all wasn't possible. But making the Empire regret every moment of their occupation, that she could do. That night, Kaela stood atop a ravaged gun battery overlooking a smoldering valley. Below, the remains of a retreating Imperial unit scattered into the darkness. They had left behind weapons, gear, even wounded soldiers. Total panic. She hadn't fired a shot. She'd used an old Republic distress beacon, programmed to mimic a Warfleet drop. The Empire, convinced it was a full invasion, fled before verifying. Kaela watched them run and let the moment settle. Her heart thudded slow and heavy. Not from fear, from time. The clock was ticking. 10 hours had passed since reawakening. 2 hours left. She returned to her old trench line, now a blackened scar in the earth. Ash still clung to the rocks. Her boot prints were still faintly visible in the dust. She knelt and placed a hand over the burned soil. "This was the line," she whispered. "And they crossed it. No more." She stood and activated a coded pulse from her suit's uplink. "To any surviving Republic units, this is Sergeant Kaela Rho. You're not alone. Regroup at grid point 379er. The fight isn't over." She cut the signal and looked toward the Imperial Command outpost, glowing on the horizon. Time for one more strike. Running shadows. Dawn broke over Vera 9 like a slow-drawn blade, cold, hard, and unforgiving. Kaela moved through the fog, alone. Her armor was scorched, cracked at the joints. The pulse rifle on her back was nearly out of charge. Each step burned. Her muscles trembled under the strain of a body pushed far past its limits. She had maybe an hour left, but the Imperial Command outpost was in sight. Perched on a plateau, its perimeter crackled with energy fields. Dropships lined the landing pads, ready to evacuate high-ranking officers. The skies above shimmered with orbital relay feeds. Command was on edge. They knew something was coming. They just didn't know it was her. Kaela crouched in the brush and tapped into her last drone. The feed came alive, showing interior schematics, a central command dome, fuel silos, data hubs, and most importantly, the Dominion's regional overseer, Commander Havoc, who'd ordered the orbital strike that killed her. She exhaled slowly. It was time. She began with the outer defenses. A remote-triggered EMP mine darkened half the perimeter. Alarms blared. Searchlights swept wildly across the rocks. Moments later, she surged through the confusion, one blur of motion, a black shape in smoke. Two guards went down before their rifles raised. A third screamed before her knife silenced him. She reached the first fuel depot and planted charges. Fire bloomed behind her as she sprinted deeper into the compound. Inside the command dome, chaos reigned. It's her. She's alive. Lock it down. Seal the doors. Where's our evac? Where the hell is the fleet? Kaela breached through the ventilation shaft, landing hard in the central operations room. Officers scrambled. Havok stood frozen in disbelief, eyes wide as he stared at the resurrected soldier who'd haunted his forces for the last 12 hours. You, he said. Kaela raised her rifle, aimed at his chest. Me. The weapon hummed, then clicked. Empty. She tossed it aside. It clattered to the floor. Havok reached for his sidearm, but she was already moving. Her fist shattered his wrist. The second punch dropped him to his knees. Kaela stood over him, breathing hard. Her vision flickered. The nanites in her blood were breaking down. Time was almost up. You bombed a trench full of kids, she said. Thought you made an example of us. Havok coughed blood, sneering. You're just one soldier. You can't stop the Empire. Kaela shook her head. I don't have to. I just had to remind them. She opened a comms channel, patched straight into the Imperial fleet above. This is Sergeant Kaela Rho of the United Colonies. The Empire killed me. I came back. I've burned your tanks, scattered your soldiers, and exposed your coward of a commander. You want Vera? Come and take it. Then she punched the override panel on the console, transmitting her battle data, kill counts, and troop movement logs directly to Republic Command. Let the galaxy see the truth. Let humanity remember how to fight. By the time reinforcements arrived, Kaela was gone. All that remained was scorched armor, a burned-out pulse rifle, and the wreckage of an outpost in ruins. The Empire evacuated within the hour. No further resistance had been reported, but no soldiers volunteered to stay behind. 2 days later, orbit above Vera 9, a Republic scout ship hovered in low orbit. Inside the bridge, Commander Juno leaned over the transmitted logs recovered from the outpost's remains. She really did it, he whispered. One girl. He tapped the final entry. Kaela's voice, hoarse but unbroken. If I go down again, I won't be getting up. But I've given you back the fire. Use it. He turned to his crew. Signal Earth. Tell them we have a rally point. Tell them Vera still breathes. Epilogue, Across the Stars. In the weeks that followed, stories of Kaela Rho spread from colony to colony. They called her the Phoenix Ghost, the Reaper, the soldier who refused to die. And everywhere those stories went, people rose. The Empire had killed the human girl in battle. Hours later, she returned. And now, the enemy was running.